And speaking of different perspectives, let's move to Lessons from War with Jocko Willink. Intense episode.
Yeah. It was intense. Jocko's very intense. I think we got a clip of a conversation I had with him on the HMS Belfast here in London. That's a warship that's parked in the River Thames. We were at night, and Jocko was talking to me about some of his intellectual property. So here's that video.
The biggest obstacle is their ego, right? That's the biggest obstacle is we don't want to take the blame for when things go wrong. We want to blame everyone else. And if your boss isn't giving you what you need, that's not your boss's fault. It's your fault. If your team isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, that's not your team's fault. It's your fault. You're the one that's in charge of the team. You're in charge of them. If they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's your fault. And when you do take ownership of a situation, it starts to spread through the organization. If I say to my team, hey guys, this wasn't your fault, this is my fault, here's what we're gonna do to fix it, my team looks at me and says, you know what? We should have done a better job. They don't say, yeah, you're right, it's your fault. They don't do that. They say, we should have done a better job. I should have owned this. I should have stepped up. And now you start to have an organization where everyone on the team takes ownership, and that's a totally different, that is when you become unstoppable.
So we had Jocko early on the show. It was literally a month after he was on Rogan and Tim Ferriss. And we reached out, and he was in London, and boom, he was in the studio. And again, Jocko is super intense. He is the Navy SEAL we all read about and saw in the Hollywood movies. And yet he is that guy times 10. And Jocko made a massive impression on me when he came on the show the first time. And his book, Extreme Ownership, and his concept of extreme ownership are something we still teach to this day in our DeFi Academy and the London Real Academy. It's one of the mindsets that we teach before we even talk about any kind of crypto assets. It's extreme ownership, this concept that everything in your life is in your control and it's your fault, and that you should be able to make a change in that. So your boss is a jerk, not their fault, your fault, because you haven't found a way to relate to them. You know, your business got shut down, not the government's fault, your fault, because you didn't innovate. So that is a way that leaders think, because they look for solutions and they try to get their teammates to look for solutions. And it's one of the most difficult concepts to process. And Jocko has taught me so much from afar, from his books, from being on the show. And he's continued just incredible stuff. He's got an amazing podcast. He's got an amazing brand. And he's just an incredible asset. And again, I teach his concepts to my students. And I'm so glad he's been a big part of London Real. And he is the real deal. He's the real deal. We actually have a really funny video on our website of Jocko when he's basically telling me how he's not the most social guy. He doesn't do birthday parties. And he said, after this interview, Brian, he's like, I'm not going to text you. I'm not going to call you again. And my team played this sad voice with this Ben Affleck thing, you know. And so Jocko thought that was the funniest thing ever, that I was kind of sad. And so Jocko does have a sense of humor. He's also Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and from San Diego, California, where I'm from. A big part of the show in so many ways. So big love to Jocko. And